Welcome to Conscious Living Collective Transformative Journey in Consciousness in the company of like minded people from all over the world. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. In this session, we blend the latest in the scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. This is an invitation to have your own direct experience when you are the active ingredient. So my intention for you is to emerge on the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being, transformation in the space of Conscious Living Collective. Welcome to part 2 of From Chaos to Clarity. I had a very good time on Monday, some of you Sunday evening, discussing how to move from chaos to clarity. And I'm so happy to see that many of you have returned for part 2. Hello, Alex. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Karen. Good to see you here. And for those of you who have not been here, that's absolutely okay, because moving from chaos to clarity is something that we all do on a regular basis, and it is something that we all will be doing for the rest of our lives, learning how to better to achieve clarity amidst all the chaos that is happening in our lives, both in personal life and our family life and work life. And that's something I want to talk about today. Hello, Parvane, a wonderful member of my Patreon program, and I want to welcome all the members of my Patreon program. We meet every 2 weeks to discuss those topics on Zoom, and I must say we've been going strong for the past couple of years. Unbelievable effort and joy to be connected with a group of such a conscientious, wonderful people. Hello, Nina. Hello, Monica. Good to see you here. Jackie, Sandy, missed part 1. Don't worry, we'll be coming back to a lot of things that we spoke about in the previous session. And I want to start off with, I just written a couple of notes because I do want to pick up on some things that you came up with. And the things that you came up with were that the areas of your life where you experience the most chaos are threefold, amongst others. First one that emerged is work. It seems like work is where the most chaos happens. The second one is your personal life, your relationships, both those personals and with your family. So personal relationships, number 2, and relationships with your family, number 3. And I want to focus today on these 3 aspects of your life. But for those of you who missed the first part, I want to give you an opportunity to tell me which area of your life right now feels the most chaotic right now. What is it for you? I'd be curious to know. And as you come up with your answers and ideally put them in the comment section, I just want to say that we've been accompanied today by Pablo Arellano and his Space of Love, a track that I very often come back to simply because I love it. And it is indeed a space of love. So I hope you appreciate his music. If you want to hear more, go to his profile. He's also our own Inside Timer musician. So feel free to go to his profile and check him out and his wonderful, wonderful music. Yeah, so Sharon, relationships, both family and friends. So that goes very much within what we already spoke about because it is a human condition. And I think this is the chaos that we talk about And one of the conclusions from the previous session was that we explore how mental chaos arises always, and it's part of our life. And the clarity is already within us when we pause, breathe, and observe. So it's not that it's either chaos or clarity, they all are present. And the clarity is something not that we achieve, but something that we explore. So even amongst the most chaotic situation, you have the ability to go underneath, and through mindfulness practice, by connecting with your breath, first of all, by pausing. The antidote for any chaos is to pause, is not to try to resist the chaos, to try to stop it, but to pause. Take the position of the observer. And that's what mindfulness practice, that's what meditation is all about. It's not about changing your life, changing the circumstances around you, but the changing the relationships with whatever is happening around you. First principle of meditation, not judgmental, not resistance. Surrender to what it is in a mindful way, not in the way of a victim, but in a way of a mindful, conscious observer. Okay, so this is what we came up with, a summary of our first session in a nutshell. Yeah, Robin says, my parents. I'll raise my hand here. I have the classic father issues or daddy issues, if you will. Certainly, I'm working through them. It's been present throughout my life. We all have something, and in my case, the part of family that gave me the most things to think about and to consider is on the side of my father. Sandy, helping support my son who is going through a challenging separation. All right, so we have the family. Parvana, a dear friend's needs and her medical difficulties. Visited Sunday session, and the meditation was very helpful. I'm sorry to hear, Parvana, about your friend. And it goes without saying on that note that we all will go, and everybody around us will go through medical difficulties at some point of our life. This is absolutely inevitable. We may wish that will not happen, but we all will, and we all are. So once again, the spirit, what we said, it's not about trying to avoid it. It's about building a relationship, correct and mindful and positive relationship with something that is either already there or it's inevitable. Okay? But I want to start by talking of the first aspect where chaos seems to be very present and perseveres, and that is chaos at work. And not only the fact that our professional setting, our careers, our work is a place where we experience a lot of chaos, but most importantly, what can we do in a practical sense to find clarity in that particular circumstance and how to get there? So, one of the most important things to notice when it comes to chaos and how to move from chaos to clarity at work is that I think in general we all feel overwhelmed by work. How many of you raise your hand if you find your work, both present or in the past, overwhelming? Or feel free to make a comment around this topic. Yeah, Rochelle, says yes with exclamation mark. Okay. Sarah, I understand. It's certainly for me. It was more than it is now. And a piece of a personal story. I come from an academic background, which is relatively easy when it comes to the work environment. I cannot say I was massively overwhelmed, except of the part of my PhD at the end of it, where actually the fact that I'm sitting in front of you right now, and those of you who know me, um, know that my all meditation practice evolved on the back of my struggles at the end of my PhD and the fact I couldn't regulate my emotions and I was anxious and I was overwhelmed and all those things. So that one aspect, one period of life, I consider myself very lucky, was the reason why I'm here talking to you about those things. So certainly work was the inspiration there. Um, Anita, retired now by overwhelming before. Karen, Anne raised three hands. That's, I think that speaks volumes. Ari retired now, but there were some very difficult supervisors. Yep. Monica, in the past, yes, but I made changes to reduce hours and days of work. My life is so much more balanced. Fantastic. Thank you, Monica, for this comment, because it is not our destiny to be overwhelmed at work. There are ways of managing that. And I just want to say that for those of you who find your workplace very chaotic, the most common um, symptoms or reasons why we feel that chaos and overwhelm that flows out of it is that we take too many tasks on and too many priorities that are compete with each other. And what's something that resonates with me in person was the lack of fulfillment. Okay, I found myself at the end very unfulfilled in academia and the way I was doing things. They were not very much aligned with my values. Because if you remember our past sessions, it's not about removing challenges from your life, but about taking on challenges or choosing challenges that are aligned with our values, because then we can not only overcome the challenges, but grow through them. The challenges become a part of our daily routine that we embrace as opposed to resist. So, too many tasks, competing priorities, and lack of fulfillment. Three aspects of the work that create chaos in our life. And let me add to it that from the perspective of neuroscience and cognitive science, that multitasking and continuously worrying and switching between different tasks, not knowing what is happening, on top of that, lack of fulfillment, creates a massive cognitive overload. And that cognitive overload, as a result, it creates chaos in our life. So you can experience it as making it harder to focus and being tired all the time and generally unfulfilled. And that obviously increases stress and your efficiency ultimately drops. So, what I found very beneficial to help me, again, not move away from the chaos, that recognized in a moment when it's happening, it's taking, I call it a mindful pause or 30-second reset, if you will. You may call it the way you like. I have a meditation on Insight Timer. It's called 5-minute mindful pause. So feel free to refer to this one if you want a practical way of doing it. But before starting any task, okay, regardless of your circumstances, take a 30-second pause to set a very clear intention. If you find that you feel overwhelmed, chaotic in your life, if you find that work gives you a grief, this is something that it's very, very helpful to manage and ultimately get out of chaotic situation. 30-second pause. And it is important to recognize within this 30 seconds both cognitive and body oriented practice. So, first of all, on a cognitive level, recognize that the task that you're about to start is what truly matters to you. It is aligned with your values, aligned with who you are. Because let me tell you this, and that part that goes to that fulfillment part. Doesn't matter how urgent an important task is. If it's not aligned with who you are, it's not aligned what truly matters to you, ultimately long-term will be source of a chaos in your life and the source of stress. So it is important to continuously reevaluate if what you're doing on a moment-to-moment basis, the tasks that you begin are truly mattered to you. And then if you decide, okay, before you start the task, and again, I explain it in a way that is obviously much longer than 30 seconds, but cognitively on the level of your inner voice, it can happen within those 30 seconds. Once you recognize that, okay, this task is important and is my priority and it matters to me, you start the process of the mental reset. So whatever happened in the past, you're grounding yourself in the present moment. Take a deep breath. Name the next focus. Name the task that you're on and begin relentlessly. This is your presence. This is what you focus on for the next period of time. And it's even better from the perspective of your cognition of your brain to set a time period during which you'll be single-handedly focused on that task. How many of you have heard about the Pomodoro method? Something that I used on and off, mostly off, unfortunately, and that's why maybe that's the source of my chaos in my life. When I have a clear time boundaries about the task I'm about to start, it's so helpful to organize my brain and to reduce the level of chaos that it is in me. Okay? It's so helpful. So before starting a task, take a 30-second pause to set a clear intention. When you set a clear intention that is aligned with what truly matters to you, use the mental reset button and focus ideally of a certain period of time or predetermined period of time that you will focus on that task. Sarah, I come from background that you need to work most of the days or you are not worthy of our family problems. I have a rare brain disease that makes it difficult to work a normal 8 to 5 job, but I'm trying. My family or our immigrants, and I don't want to disappoint them. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing this. And this is a very important aspect that pays to setting a clear boundaries. Family is important, but as much as the importance of your family are your personal boundaries. And recognizing that you are not separate from your family, you are part of the family. And particularly within, I will talk about the chaos in the family, right? That's based to that aspect of our lives. It is very easy to get lost in the sense of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Is the, you see, my mind went blank. Very meditative state. Maybe you can help me. What we feel towards our family. The sense of obligation. That's the word I was looking for. That we need to perform and act with according to our family wishes. Very often, completely ignoring our own personal needs and our personal boundaries and personal values. Thank you, Amy. Obligation. So yeah, thank you, Sarah, for that comment. But coming back to work, maybe question to you, and particularly for those of you who have not been here before, when do you feel the most mental chaos at work? And based on what we said, what is one small change that could bring a more workflow bring more balance to your workflow? What do you think, based on what we said, on what we discussed, when you consider your work? And I know that not for all of you, work is the source of chaos, but let's address the first one first. Yeah, Amy says, I feel the most mental chairs. I guess there must be a different word. When I have neglected tasks that I have deferred by should have done. Well, we called a procrastination monster. There's a great talk on TED. If you know TED Talks, I would like to refer to the procrastination monster, one of the most watched TED Talks ever, because it's absolutely fantastic, and refer to that. And and the antidote for the procrastination monster is, as I said, to not only prioritize tasks, because there are many tasks that have the same priority, but recognize which of those tasks are aligned with who you are and they matter to you. Because if they don't matter to you, like I said, it doesn't matter how much you try to convince yourself on the intellectual level, it won't work. Yeah, Sarah, not caring so much of what our managers or coworkers think towards us, I have a tendency to try to finish my tasks and other tasks. So this is the part of setting the boundaries, right? Knowing your value, knowing who you are, recognizing that it's a process, right? It's not something that will ever finish. I think that's how our brain works, right? Our brain works with the idea that there'll be point of our life, the chaos disappears, the multitasking disappears. We will just remove all those obstacles. It's not about removing those obstacles, it's about learning how to deal with them better. And this is how this session is designed. It's not to change your life circumstances necessarily in this moment. It's to change your relationship with them. Cool. If there are any other comments or questions with relation to how to achieve clarity at work, I welcome them. But now I want to move to the second part that is equally important, and it can be a source of chaos in our life, and that is personal relationships. So I can speak from my own experience. I found that personal relationships is arguably the most challenging aspect of my life. It's the part of my life that provides a springboard to the highest grade of growth and evolution. But at the same time, I must admit that I wish I could not take them on board. And I need a mental break. I need to step out from the chaos into stillness. And that what is my answer to managing the chaos in my personal relationships. Communicating from stillness. So when emotions run high, and that happened to all of us, this happens to me all the time, even with all my mindfulness practice and attention to my mindfulness, it still happens to me. When the emotions go high, my intellect switches into next level, and that's where all the misunderstandings happen, because we stop listening to each other. We're just trying to prove our point. It's called reactive thinking. Rather than listening and communicating clearly, we switch into mode of the reactive thinking. And from that point of view, rather than being on the one side, as partnership should look like, we on the same side of the fence, we move on the opposite side of the fence. And we only throw a fuel on already a heated situation. So the way to step out of the chaos of the situation like that, we need to once again pause. The recipe or the protocol is similar to as it happens in the work situation. We begin with pausing. Pausing is stepping into present moment awareness. That's what pause stands for. And then we can begin regulating our emotions. We can recognize the emotions for what they are. Okay, I'm upset. I'm not validated. I'm not recognized, whatever that is. And step into a sense of stillness and listening from the perspective of the stillness before responding. So we're managing our emotions, and we stepping from the reactive thinking to clear communication by grounding ourselves in the present moment of the emotions that can be high. You can feel hot in that very moment, but recognizing how you feel, it's important in that very moment. So the method I want to introduce you to is called pause, feel, speak. Pause, stepping into awareness, stillness of the present moment. Recognize how you feel. You may feel upset, and that's okay. That's normal. Regulate the emotions. Listen to what is happening, and only then speak. And that will solve, first of all, help you step out of the chaos, and then bring clarity to what there is. I'm not saying this is a golden bullet. It's not going to be the either 0 or 100. It's going to be somewhere in between, but always it will de-escalate the situation, the high, when emotions run high. All right? Pause, feel, speak. How does it sound? To put that into a perspective, think of the recent conflict. How might pausing and observing your emotions have changed the outcome? What do you think about your recent conflict in your personal life? In the meantime, Chris said, when I'm trying to complete a task but continuously interrupted and told to start a new emergency task. So now there are 5 or more fires going and uncompleted. And this is the nature of multitasking. We know that multitasking does not work, right? We're just creating more fires. Setting the boundaries, it's not possible. It's a sacrifice very often. I don't know. There's an old TV show called ER. It's about the emergency department. And that in that TV show, obviously, there are many situations that are fictional situations that are based on real situations. And the doctors have to make snap decisions. They cannot help everyone. It's not the job of any hospital emergency department to save everyone. That's simply not possible. And in order to save the few, we have to prioritize and we have to choose one task at a time, right? Surgeon cannot perform 2 operations simultaneously. Both patients would die. This is the kind of thing. So the question, once again, the question was, when do you feel the most mental chaos at work? And no, the second one, think of the recent conflict. How might pausing and observing your emotions have changed the outcome? Yeah, Flora, you're absolutely right. Pausing makes sense. All those things that I say, they make sense, but I know for a fact they are very difficult to implement. I'm not denying that. And that's why the path of growing and personal growth, as opposed to standing where you are, being in a chaos, it is requires effort, requires your mental currency. But what I try to say, it is very that investment of your mental currency in pausing in front of other person, however may feel difficult in the heat of the moment, it is difficult in the heat of the moment, pay dividends. Not doing that will just burn through your mental currency and you will not get any dividend. Okay. So the yes, our pausing is very important. I am ADD. It's not something easy, but it's something I have pushed myself to do because I find I make better decisions and I don't allow others' opinions bother me as much when I take a moment. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing that. That's very much what I'm inviting you to. This is the testimony to that taking, pausing, feeling, and only then speaking is the way to go. It's a mindful tactic to reduce the chaos in your personal relationships. All right, we don't have that much time. So before we start meditating, I have quite a few more points, but I would just want to bring one more point: clarity in family relationships. All right, so we had chaos at work, chaos in personal relationships, and now have chaos in family. These we identified as the three main areas where the chaos arises in our lives. I'm not saying there are no more, there's certainly more, but these are the main ones. So in order to bring some more understanding and more clarity into your family relationships, I think it's important to recognize that we cannot control our families. The antidote for the chaos in families is to letting go of the control. And I can say from my personal experience, and feel free to bring your own experience. I've been trying to change my father throughout my life. I still do not disagree. I still do not agree with the way he lives his life, decisions, the way he treats our family. But I may disagree, but I no longer trying to control it. I do not use my anger, rage in order as a way of changing the situation, because I found it ineffective. As a matter of fact, letting go of the situation, most of you know that of me, I'm originally from Poland, and I moved literally as far away as it's humanly possible. Now I recognize it from perspective of 20 years. That was the, letting go of control, because it didn't work. And the reason for that is the clarity that we're seeking does not come from control. It comes from presence. And presence, by definition, is accepting the situation as is in this very moment. So we try to move or shift from fixing. And as a man, I can say this happens very often, right? I'm always full of solutions. If someone asks me, I'm jumping into solution, I try to fix things, to witnessing. And women are much better at it in general, right? Men are fixers, women are better at witnessing. So, and this is something that is very difficult for me to recognize and accept, that not every problem needs immediate solution. I'm a solution solver. I'm a solution giver and problem solver. Okay. And so that's the first part, switching from fixing to witnessing in the family situations. Second of all, and that who said that? Was it Sarah? About your family? I'm sorry, I just missed it. Yeah, Sarah, you are talking about your family. The setting healthy boundaries without guilt. Knowing who you are helps you to set up boundaries, healthy boundaries, and stick with them. When tension arises, we practice soft presence. Stay aware of your own reactions while allowing others to be as they are. And I understand that most of the families, that would be a lot of heated arguments and emotions, particularly if they not align with what they want from us. So, none of those things I talk about are easy to apply. But that's why we're here, Conscious Living Collective. We're trying to empower ourselves in the situations to come. We are not trying to say it's going to be easy. We are not trying to fix anything. We switch to the position of witnessing. And witnessing includes the pausing, that where it's a common denominator, both for the work chaos and for the personal relationship chaos, that also applies, not surprisingly, to the family relationships, right? Witnessing includes pausing. So my question to you is, where in your family life do you feel the most resistance? And how might letting go, even slightly, I'm not saying completely letting go, that's impossible, creates more clarity? Once again, where in your family life do you feel the most resistance? Viviana, something similar happened to me. I wanted to move as far away as possible from my mom and the chaos she created. I thought of New Zealand and ended up settling in the US. Yeah, I think it's the very human response. It's just move away. So I definitely understand what you mean. Okay. It seems like in our group, we all dealing pretty well with our families. So that's okay. Are there any questions or comments before we jump into the meditation part, which will build on the meditation from Monday? So before we jump into practice, for those of you who are joining us for the first time or have not been here on Monday, the practice will have three aspects. First of all, grounding the body. I call it the rooting practice, calming the mind, and seeing the clarity. So 3 points, and seeing the clarity that will flow out of those two aspects of grounding the body and calming the mind. You'll be able to see with clarity. Monica, I need to stop being a parent to my parents and accept them for who they are. That's so well put. Maybe it's the Polish connection. No, I don't believe it's a Polish connection. It's a universal thing. But I want to think it's a Polish connection. Thank you, Monica, for that. My sister is staying with our parents right now, and she very often say that the situation flipped from being a child having parents. Now she's being a parent to elderly who start acting like children. I don't know. Maybe it's also a natural process. I don't know. Sarah asked, I have guilt towards setting boundaries, but I would like to stop that. Any tips? Well, you already know the solution. And the hard problem is to sit down, write down who you are and what boundaries you'd like to set and adhere to them. It's very easy, or it's much easier to write them down. It's easier to write them down than put them into action. So you already know what to do. You know how to do it. Now it's a matter of doing it. So this is it. And by the way, so many of you already know that in the introduction, I say I'm a transformation coach. And transformation coach, which I'm always careful about using that title, because title doesn't mean nothing. But putting into your situation, Sarah, in the work one-on-one with my clients, that's exactly what we do. I help my clients to solve those real-time situations that are very much related to the current situation. They are not theoretical. They are not universal. They are very personal. And working with me means that you have a support in to make those difficult choices. You are not alone. You have a foundation in me to work through that, and validation that it's so difficult to find within yourself when you're struggling with, for instance, situations that Sarah is dealing with. So this is it. This is the role. This is my role in the one-on-one relationship with my client, to provide support, validation, and place to explore different options for your personal circumstances. I think that's the most accurate description of what my work is all about. Yeah, Monica, I can relate with your story, leaving the country 19 years ago and daddy issues. So there you go. I don't feel that original right now. Okay. Let us jump into meditation part, because I want to ground all this knowledge that we acquired and whatever you have learned today with respect to your personal situation. I want to ground it into your direct experience. How does it feel in your body? And we will be supported in this, as I already said, by Pablo Arellano and his wonderful Space of Love. Because it goes without saying that all that happens, and this is two other points I didn't mention, but I want to practice with you, that everything that we said has to happen in the space of love. If they happen only in the space of intellect, it is very unlikely that we will succeed implementing and taking the actions. So let's move into space of love, and I will move into space of meditation. This music builds up very, very slowly, so I might still not be able to hear it. Or maybe you cannot hear it because something happened with my device from which I'm playing the music. Ah, there it is. Can start hearing it now. Okay. Really love this music. There's something about it puts me on the right track to the inner exploration, which is essentially being present to everything that we've learned today, taking what you find useful and leaving behind everything else. I recognize that not everything that I said will be useful for you personally. I am only hoping that some of those things you will find beneficial to your personal circumstance. And right now, I want to invite you to settle to this present moment. Begin moving from chaos to clarity by recognizing your current situation, your present state of body, mind, and spirit, as you close your eyes. Recognize the state of your physical body. See where does your awareness is drawn towards. Where does your awareness go when you close your eyes and you allow yourself to feel on the level of your body? Is it your stomach? Is it your chest? Maybe throat. Perhaps it manifests as a tension in your shoulders. They are all valid and normal responses to chaotic situations that happen in your life. And the moment you start being present and aware of these bodily sensations, you begin to clear the field, begin the movement from the chaos of your mind that provides descriptions to all that happens, to the recognition that however you feel right now, it is normal, it is valid, and it is supported by all of us meditating right now. See that everyone has experienced this state at some point in their lives. It's a part of our human condition. Feel rooted in your bodily sensations. They give you stability on the level of your body. And as you do it, you may notice that the overactive mind will throw at you certain descriptions, thought patterns that you are most likely familiar with. When that happens, use your mind to recognize what is happening and give it a label. Planning, worrying, or judging. Planning, worrying, judging. And see if there is any space between the thoughts as they arise. And even better, is there a connection between the thoughts and the bodily sensations? Explore that connection. Thoughts translates into emotions, feelings, and they in turn manifest in your physical body as a tension, as tingling, sometimes as spaciousness, openness. Maybe heat or cold. And see if amongst all the above, there are seeds of stillness and peace. Space between the thoughts, shift of bodily sensations from one to another, from closed space to openness, from thoughts into awareness, experiencing the shift on your own, being supported at the same time as I stand by your side to hold the space and to say that everything is all right. So take 1 minute to explore on your own, and I will bring you back when the time is up. And now express your gratitude for the time you have given yourself for this exploration. Create a mental note for anything that you found useful and you want to take it with you. And let go of anything else. And now to conclude this practice, simply take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when ready, open your eyes and welcome back. Thank you so much for meditating with me. Again, a short exploration of the topics that we considered today. And to summarize the whole session, we spoke about how to move from chaos to clarity in three fundamental aspects of our life, which is our work, our personal relationships, and our family relationships. I always welcome any comments or questions. If you don't put them in the comment section, feel free to send it to me via Insight Timer Messenger. If you wish to continue our journey and join us next time in the session of Conscious Living Collective, I usually, most of weeks, I have sessions on Monday and Wednesday, or Sunday afternoon and Tuesday afternoon in the US time. For those of you who maybe need some help with facing various challenges and chaos in your life, feel free to contact me through Insight Timer to arrange for one-on-one session. That's a possibility. But most of all, use so many resources under my Insight Timer profile to help yourself on this very difficult journey of our humanity, and recognize it's not a journey for faint-hearted. We all experience chaos. We all experience difficulties. And the purpose of Conscious Living Collective is to normalize these situations and feel that you are supported. You are not alone on this journey. Parvane, thank you so much for your very, very kind and generous donation. And all of you who decided to support me through your donations, I want to thank you, because you've been extremely generous over the past couple of weeks with your donations. And I just want to say I'm very grateful, because they help me tremendously as a teacher on Insight Timer to continue my work and to worry a bit less about the chaos and my financial situation. It helps. As a teacher, I do rely on your generosity, both of your presence and listening to my meditations, which is the primary source, and also the donations that you give me through live sessions and otherwise. So thank you so much. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Karen. It's very kind of you. Any comments or questions before we conclude today? We are almost spot on an hour. Yeah, like I said, if you miss something, feel free to send me a message via Insight Timer or to my email, whatever. In the meantime, thank you so much for this session. I will leave you with Pablo Arellano and his Space of Love, a wonderful companion to our exploration. I want to wish you a pleasant evening or very good day wherever you are, and looking forward to our next session of Conscious Living Collective. Stay tuned. Until then.